And here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports. This is our football section, particularly Arsenal. Those who haven't subscribed already, please hit the subscribe button. Okay, so let's get into things. The new Arsenal manager, Unai Emery, is at Arsenal. Finally, Arsene Wenger is officially gone. As I said, been wanting him to leave Arsenal Football Club since when? since the FA Cup. Since Arsenal last won the FA Cup, and wanted Wenger to leave. I felt that his leadership was no longer being taken seriously by the Arsenal players, and it was time to move on. And Wenger was well past the sell-by date. And I had somebody came on my channel the other day, or came on to BWTN Sports, and was arguing furiously with me that with the funds that Wenger was being restricted with the funds that he had, and therefore that's the reason why Arsenal were not the team that they were, and they could have been a better team. Well, hey, look, at the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned, 22 years Arsene Wenger has been at Arsenal. That's 22 years. That's mark this out a second. If it 22 years, give or take, 22 years, Arsene Wenger has been at Arsenal Football Club, and Arsenal never won a Champions League. Did you hear that? 22 years, never won a Champions League. Okay? Success in Europe, zero. This guy, Emery, is coming to the club now. It's a success. And Sevilla, back to back to back. He's done. He's won 3 cups with Sevilla. So he knows what it takes to win in Europe, something the former manager didn't know what to do. And I would exchange 5 FA Cups. I would argue with the guy straight down, the guy who came on our channel and was making comments about how Arsenal won FA Cups that Tottenham would love to have had and Man United would love to have had. But Man United can say what they want. He also said that Man United beat some poor teams on their way to winning the Europa League. I don't care. They won the Europa League. They had a chance to play in Europe. They had a chance to play for the World Club Championships. They had a chance to play in the European Super Cup. Something Arsenal has Arsenal fans have and players have had no experience of doing, and any experience they've had of winning in European Cups or playing in European finals has been generally them leaving the club and playing for other clubs. That's the bottom line. If you want to win in Europe, leave Arsenal Football Club because the manager's not been good enough, not fit for purpose, and he hasn't been fit for purpose for years. Arsenal doing the same old crap year in, year out, and people have just forgotten about what the standards are of being a top Premiership side. And Arsenal have fallen further and further down the table, and it's just been embarrassing getting beat by certain teams in the league you shouldn't be getting beat by. Tactically inept, poor at the back. And guess what? This guy Emery, which is one of the things I love to hear, is that he analyzes his players and analyzes his video, does video analysis. So every game he's supposed to use video analysis. That's what you want in this day and age. So we've got a manager that's come to the club with success. He knows what success looks like. He smelt success. Success wasn't 20 years ago. Success is something that's now. It's tangent. He's relevant to today. He's relevant to today's football and today's football society. He's done it in France. He's done it in Spain. So he's done it. He knows what it's about. So to come here, Emery's as good as any of those managers out there. And he's worked with top players as well, you know. So he's been at PSG. He's worked with some of the best players in the world. I beat better players than players at Arsenal, arguably. So at PSG, so he knows what it takes to win. I'm going to give you an example on Football Manager. Those who play Football Manager, or have seen me play as Arsenal manager on Football Manager. And one of the things I do as soon as I get in, I get rid of dead wood. I get shot of the staff. I get rid of all the staff and I bring in staff that've got 5-star ratings or as close to 5-star rating as possible. Why? Because I want to win. I want to win the league. I want to win the Premiership. Okay. And those players who are not performing, they get out the club. I get shot of those players. Okay. Those players who've been consistently been part of a losing setup, I get rid of them. I get shot of them. Okay. Um, and Emery is going to be a guy that's going to probably do things his own way. The restrictive transfer budget. Listen, if you're a damn good manager and you are a resourceful manager and tactically inept, then at the end of the day, you'll make the most of the resources you've got. And Arsenal have got some very good players at the club, but have been under poor management. There's a difference. See, it's going to be a breath of fresh air with a manager who wants to win. That's going to be translated around the ground, around the club. Now, the problem is with that, you've had a guy who's been at the club almost dictatorship for 22 years with a guy that has set down and said, you know what, just getting into the Champions League is enough. Just getting fourth is enough. Just doing enough is enough. Mediocrity is fine. And that's a standard that some of the fans have accepted and said, well, this is what Arsenal Football Club is about. They have forgotten what it's like to be top of the league and champions of the Premiership. Ask an Arsenal fan, what does it feel like to be a Premiership team that wins the Premiership? Ask them what that feeling's like to be on the top bus with the Premiership title. What does that feel like? You don't know what it feels like because it's been a damn long time. You have to look back to the time when Thierry Henry and flipping Tony Adams was at the club. That is how things were for the last time Arsenal won a Premiership. The untouchables. I mean, Man United could talk about winning Premiership after that time. It's all right coming close, but coming close is not winning a Premiership. So we now have a man in Unai Emery. I don't expect him to come in and win the Premiership in the first season. I think that's a bit unfair. But what I do expect to see is progress. I expect to see us playing better football from the back. I expect us playing better football up front. I expect to see us playing with more vigor and more purpose. This might not happen overnight, but he's going to put the seeds in. I do expect Arsenal, though, to be further up in the league this next season. I expect them first of all to qualify. I expect to qualify for the Champions League. I do next season. I don't expect them to win the Champions League at the moment. What I do expect them to do is to qualify for the Champions League next season with some decent signings that can be done, and to sell some players who have been at the club a while that have not produced. And for me, Orsel's one of those players I would get shot of. I get shot of Orsel when I've got him in my Arsenal side. Yes, he can be a quality player when he feels like it, but a lot of times he goes missing. The only question you've got to ask yourself with Orsel is, was it because of Wenger or was it because of Orsel and his temperament? I don't know which one it is. So Emery may keep Orsel there. For me, I'd get shot of Orsel and bring someone else in. But I'd like to see Thomas Lemar playing for Arsenal. I would love to see what he brings to the table. Love to see him. Like to see us have a defender back. Definitely get rid of Petacek and get a decent goalkeeper back in. I've heard Lucas has been doing some very good things. Lucas has been creating a lot of assists since he left Arsenal. So I'll be interested to see if I think Lucas is on loan, maybe bringing Lucas back into the club, see how he works out there as well. We can see how Lacazette and Agibang play up front in the season, how the manager works with them. Jack Wilshere, Aaron Ramsey, the usual candidates. Whether they're going to fit into Bellerin, whether all those players are going to fit into the plans of the new manager. These are all things that are going to be interesting to see what happens, where he decides to go with there, who he's going to make as captain of who his captain of Arsenal will be. It gives an idea of where the manager is and where he wants to be. Only if they provide him with a big transfer funds and let him be in charge of the transfers. I disagree with that. Because you don't look with Sevilla. Well, I don't know what the transfer market was at Sevilla, but he was able to do what he did. He'll never win the Premiership with Arsenal. Trust me, weak mentality. Yeah, everyone's a critic. Everyone's a critic. But you know what? He has won a Europa League. He's done something. Yes, Emery is officially at Arsenal. He's won more cups in Europe than the former manager. That's enough. So if you're going to call anybody useless, call the former manager of 22 years useless, because he's never won a Champions League. He's never won a Europa League. So if you're going to call anybody useless, call the former manager useless. He's the best at winning Europa League. LOL. Okay, he's won the Europa League. That means you've got a chance of winning the European Super Cup if you won the Europa League. He's done it back to back to back. Arsene Wenger's never done that. So those people who are there slating Emery for winning the Europa League, he's won something in Europe, something the former manager has never done, ever. Ever. 22 years, never won the Europa League. That's it. So let's put things in context. All right. So you can talk about what he's lost and he's done this and he's done that. He's a young man. Cut Wenger some slack. He's out already. Why should I cut him slack? I think Emery's a good choice. Di Matteo, FA Cup, Champions League, not Europa League. I ask you the question: what did Arsene Wenger win in Europe? What did Arsene Wenger win in Europe? Champions League or otherwise? I thought there'd be a silence. You're ungrateful. And what is there to be grateful for? What is there to be grateful for? Winning an FA Cup? I'm not ungrateful. I just appreciate elite football. I as a coach myself, having coached from grassroots right up to national level, I do appreciate. Yeah, I'm not ungrateful. I'm not ungrateful. You're the kind of people who say I'm ungrateful. You're the kind of people that like Arsenal where they were. You're probably a Tottenham supporter, mate. You're probably a Tottenham supporter. That's what it is. You're probably a Tottenham supporter or Chelsea supporter. So, do you know what I mean? Let me put it this way. Arsene Wenger, if he was at any other club, would have been sacked a long time ago. He wouldn't have lasted at Chelsea. He wouldn't have lasted at Man United. He wouldn't have lasted at Liverpool. He wouldn't have lasted at Tottenham. That's four of the top teams. And he certainly wouldn't have lasted at Man City. He wasn't good enough. Simple as that. He wasn't good enough. It was just Arsenal that was nice to him. But no other team in Europe would have had Wenger, because Wenger did not produce the goods. Simple as that. What did you have before? I think we had George Graham. I think we had George Graham. If I remember rightly. George Graham wasn't too bad a manager, actually. Because Arsenal were elite, mate. Arsenal, a very good team. Very, very good team. So I don't know what you're talking about. We had Arsenal, we had George Graham. And Arsenal used to win the leagues quite often with George Graham. George Graham's a good manager. Damn good manager, George Graham. So I remember George Graham and Arsenal being a very good football side. So I don't know what you're talking about. But Wenger, what did Wenger do? What did Wenger do? So yes, I know Wenger. George Graham weren't no Wenger. And Wenger is no Emery. Wenger is no Emery. George Graham is no Wenger. And Wenger is no Emery. Simple. Not in the same league. Agreed. You've got a guy who's... Are you comparing Wenger to Emery? He's won in Europe. Wenger has never won in Europe. You're one of those guys that sit on the side and are crying now Wenger's gone. That's what you are. S54 boy. You're one of those guys that sit on the side and don't like change. You're one of those guys who don't really like success. You're one of those guys that don't appreciate success when you see it. And Emery, I back this guy. Emery had unlimited funds, didn't do nothing. Well, hey, maybe the style of football, who knows? I don't care about what I know he won in Europe. That's all I care. He's got a track record to talk about. He might not have done well at PSG. Fine, he may not have done as well as PSG. Wenger only had providing FA Cups not good enough on 8 million contract. Exactly. He only provide FA Cups not good enough. I agree with you there. Look what changed Look what change did to Man United. Ferguson was a great manager. And the time Ferguson chipped at the right time. And instead of install Mourinho then, what did they do? They went and put in this other guy. They put two other guys in before they put Mourinho in, if you remember rightly. Don't talk a crap about change. Emery won the French league. Emery also won in Europa. He's won the Europa League, something that, by the way, Manchester United have won. It's okay when Manchester United win the Europa League. That's great. It's fantastic Man United win it. But the fact that Arsenal have now got a guy who's won the Europa League 3 times with Sevilla, oh, it's not good. People just want something to criticize about. Listen, I celebrate success. I welcome success. And I welcome success at Arsenal. And for once in the era of Arsenal, they've got a guy who can win more than an FA Cup. They've got a guy who can win a Premiership, and I'm not talking about a Premiership back in the day when Thierry Henry was still playing and Vieira was still playing for Arsenal. I'm talking about beyond that. Hello, stop rubbish the salt into worms. Okay, now I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep rubbing the salt into the wound. I'm telling you as it is. 22 years, no success in Europe. That's what it is. And this guy Emery is here now. I'm going to keep rubbing salt into the wound. This guy Emery, we welcome Emery to Arsenal. We welcome a change. We welcome a new beginning. Yeah, damn right, Shoaib. Fergie knew his team was getting. It was time to move on. That's how he got out at the right time. And then he left. Who did leave in charge? The great, what's his name? The guy at Everton. Moyes, the great Moyes, who had never proven anything apart from at Everton, never proved that he could work with big teams. Mate, I'm Man United, but I ain't pleased about Europa League. We don't have that mentality, all or nothing. Listen, son. If anyone's ungrateful, it'd be you. You've had Van Gaal. You've now got Mourinho at the club, a guy who's won the Champions League over and over and over. Well, not over and over and over, but he's won the Champions League. He knows what it's like to win the Champions League. Okay. So, can you talk about Emery in the future instead of the past? I did. I think Emery is going to be fantastic for Arsenal. He's going to bring a fresher breath air. He's going to bring what it's like to be a winner to the club. Even if Arsenal win the Europa League, okay? Even if they win the Europa League, that's something they hadn't done in 22 years under Wenger. And what you need is a kickstart. I heard Arsenal got a 50 million budget, not enough. Really? I don't know about that. It's not about the money. Money has got something to do with it. But I also believe a good manager who's a tactical genius does help as well. It does help. And you can build. Because once you've got a good manager at the club, then that's where other players can start coming to the club as well. Do you know what I mean? Arsenal will be on the way up, I think. It's going to take time, but they'll be on the way up. Emery is a European League master. So 2019 European League is out. Yes. If they win the Europa League, they've got a chance of winning playing the European Super Cup. Something that, again, Arsene Wenger doesn't know anything about. The closest Arsene Wenger is close to being a European Super League has probably been on PS3 or PS4 or FIFA. That's the only chance. That's the closest he's been to a Champions League final, apart from the year when Henry was playing. That's it. So I don't hear no more about Wenger. I don't hear no more about the past. Emery's the future, and I welcome Emery with open arms. And it's a clean slate. And I hope Emery goes in there and cleans out all the losers at the club. I hope he cleans out all the losers at the club. Proper gets rid of all the losers. All the people have let the club down. All the people have did. I'm glad Sanchez has gone. And Ozil will be one of the guys that kick out the club as well. Get rid of him as well. So much disrespect. I mean, disrespect. It's not about disrespect. It's about success and ruthless. I'm ruthless. I do the same thing too. It's ruthlessness. It's about getting out there and having a team that wants to be. Listen, nobody cares about the team that comes fourth and fifth. Everybody wants to be the best. We have a manager, but we don't have a Man United manager. We have an identity, and Jose Mourinho doesn't match up to the club. Let me tell you something about Jose Mourinho for a second. Jose Mourinho. When Jose Mourinho wasn't Man United manager, A lot of people want him to be Man United manager. So many people said, "Oh yeah, we want Mourinho as manager. We want Mourinho as manager. We want Mourinho as manager." Now Mourinho's your manager. You're like, "Oh, we don't want Mourinho as manager. We don't want Mourinho as manager." Listen, you've got a guy who knows how to win the Champions League. You've got a guy who knows how to win the league. There are problems, of course there are. Emery won't last. Trust me. No, I don't trust you. I do not trust you. Besides, I don't think Arsenal is very strong now. Now, new players, I agree. I'll put money on it. You could put all the money you want in, mate. You can put all the money you want in, mate. But I'm not listening to what you've got to say. Emery may last 3 years. He seems to do that with clubs. 3 years seems to be 3 years seems to be his max. But on the basis of Arsene Wenger, I mean, he lasted 22 years, and most of his years he only won the Tin Pot FA Cup. So let's be honest. So I don't know. For me, I think personal opinion is that I welcome Emery to the club. I welcome new beginnings. I welcome a man who's going to be really spot on with his tactics, and he's going to be giving it his best. And it's a fresh new start for Arsenal. And let's just see. Let's just see what happens. He don't know how to be a Man United manager. Who, Mourinho? Listen, enough people wanted Mourinho to be Arsenal manager. Like probably if Mourinho became England manager, they're talking the same crap as well. It is what it is. When you have something that you want and you get it, and then when you get it, you don't want it. It is what it is. Mourinho was always problems. He was problems at Chelsea. Now his problems at Manchester United. He went to Chelsea. He was successful, and then they booted him out. Then he came back to Chelsea again, and then they booted him out again. So hey, they obviously must have been a problem there with Mourinho. Maybe he's too big for his boots. I don't know. But you've got a top class manager there, Mourinho. Got a top class manager, Mourinho. Maybe he's clashing with players. I don't know. It's a big club, so who knows? But this is not about Man United. It's about Arsenal. And again, the identity of Arsenal Football Club is definitely going to change with a new manager there, with a guy who knows what success is about. He knows what recent success is about, and that's what matters. And the fans, the players, should really get behind Emery, and they'll play for Emery. I think they will play for him. They'll play for him because they know that if they play for him, success is, at least in Europe, is guaranteed. So we'll see. I think it's going to be interesting. And I don't think everyone should expect Emery to try and win the Premiership in the first season. I don't think they should expect him to be a miracle worker because there are problems with Arsenal beyond Arsene Wenger. Arsenal got no defenders, old keeper, injury-prone midfielders, transfers needed. You know what? That sounds like an Arsenal. That sounds to me like a football manager challenge in itself. So you have to sell some players. That's all. Some players need to be sold. Is it time to sell players like Jack Wilshere? Is it time to sell Jack Wilshere? I don't know. We'll see. But Emery's a top man. I think he'll know what he has to do, and he might even invest in some old players as well. Some old players might want to come and join him from PSG. You never know what happens. So we'll see. We'll see. Ingram, Arsenal fans would never want Jose. That's your nemesis. No, I didn't say Arsenal would want Mourinho. I never said that in the first place. Does he speak English? I think he speaks a little English, not great. Again, I don't. Yeah, I think so. Xhaka and you will be out. Yeah, definitely. There are two players that need to go. So there you go. That's why I said I wish Wenger had gone. I wish Wenger had gone at the end of the FA Cup. When he left it, if he left it the FA Cup, would we still had Sanchez, or would he had Chamberlain? I don't know, but I'd like to see what would happen had Emery taken at the end of the FA Cup. That's what I would like him. Then I had this whole season to work with the club, but everyone knows better. But yeah, congratulations, Unai Emery. I look forward to 3 seasons with you, and in one of those 3 seasons, I expect Arsenal to become Europa champions. I laugh, I chuckle. But that's the minimum I expect of Unai Emery. Within 3 seasons, Arsenal winning the Europa League, at least the Europa League, on the way, to be a force back in Premiership football. It's got to be better than what we've had in the last God knows how many years. Right, I'm out of here. Thank you all for listening. You've got to be passionate about your club, haven't you? I like success. I want success. And I see Emery as a successful manager. That's it. I'm out. Take care.